All right, good evening once again, and hearty welcome to the 50th Trainer Tribe Masterclass. We're really happy that you could join us this evening. I know we are a couple of folks on the call now, but we'll definitely kickstart honoring the time of you folks who have joined us right on time. And we definitely hope that we have other of our folks joining us soon for the second of the series of masterclasses that we kickstarted last week. So just to give you a brief before we get into the topic, this is a masterclass organized by Trainer Tribe. So Trainer Tribe is the digital learning community of educators across the globe. Currently, we have about 4,000 plus educators from 30 plus countries across the globe. It's a learning platform, it's a sharing platform, and educators inspire each other each day in and day out through this times of anxiety, uncertainty, and a lot of vulnerability that is present around us. If you're interested, please feel free to share hashtag Trainer Tribe on your social media handles if you're writing about the masterclass that is scheduled today. We're definitely on different medias currently. We are on Instagram. You can find us under Trainer Tribe India. We have an individual Facebook page, which is Trainer Tribe India again. As you're aware, you are on mute for the entire duration of the session, just to keep us away from the background noise and to be fully attentive during this session, because it's quite interesting and an important session for us educators as well as people who are into the field of education. But nevertheless, please use the chat section to leave your comments and questions, and we will take it in between the session or towards the end of the session, and definitely get it addressed by the facilitator of the session. Just to give you a little bit of a brief of what is Quest Alliance, I'm sure most of us are definitely our repetitive audience over the past 49 masterclasses that we've had. But just to give you a brief of Quest Alliance, just for the people who joined us new today. So Quest Alliance is a not-for-profit organization which believes in transforming learning ecosystems, and also working towards designing to meet the key gaps in the school to work continuum. So our school to work continuum features the middle school, the secondary schools, as well as the technical and vocational education and training. So that's how our programs are spread. And we do it through tech capacity building, partner collaboration, and advocacy programs to actually create real impact that changes lives. Briefly, then directly delving into the speaker for today, we are very happy to have Bhavani Arumugam, who is the Director of Program Design and Development from Dream a Dream. We're really happy because we are doing these masterclasses as a part of 4 masterclasses, and we kickstarted it last week with Puneet handling the first one, and this week we have Bhavani. I wouldn't take the privilege or the space to actually introduce Bhavani. I'll give it to her to introduce herself and to take us through the session. Hope you all have a great session going forward. Over to you, Bhavani.
Thank you so much, Lenin, for this. Okay, my name is Bhavani. I head the program design and development for Dream a Dream. I have been in the development sector for 15 plus years, predominantly working for children from disability and adverse backgrounds. I do not want to take a lot of time. Thank you all for joining, that too on a Friday evening. We hope you find this session to be informational and useful. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay. So yeah, once again, welcome to the session. We would start the session with a small check-in. I kindly request you to recollect your childhood days at school. Observe what feeling it brings inside you. And if your feeling is a color, what would that color be? If I have to give you an example, if I would relate my childhood experiences to a color, it would be mostly bluish gray. And please share your, check-in in the chat. Orange, red, greenish, blue, yellow, red. That's nice. Different colors are coming actually. Brown, yellow, red, yellow, blue. Orange, blue. Nice. So let's keep the responses coming while we move ahead. Yeah. So this is a small introduction about Dream a Dream. Why do we exist? We exist to empower young people from vulnerable backgrounds to overcome adversity and thrive in a fast-changing world. So this has been our approach. We keep the child at the center, the core of our work, and we work with the child with direct interventions. We also work with the immediate environment associated with the child. It could be the teachers, it could be the parents, it could be the school community. We work at an ecosystemic level to bring in certain changes so that helps the young people to thrive, and also at large with the society. So we have 3 different programs, critical programs that we run in Dream a Dream. One is called the After School Life Skills Program, which uses football and creative arts as a medium to incorporate life skills in young people. And this program runs between the ages of 8 to 15 years and 5,000 young people every year in Bangalore. We have a Career Connect program, which imparts information, skills, access, and opportunities to young people. This program is for young people between the ages of 15 to 21, and we reach out 5,000 young people every year. We have a teacher development program, which engages teachers on how to unlock their students' potential. 2,000 teachers impacting every year, which would, we reach out to 50,000 young people. Through our strategic partnerships, we are currently working in 5 states, Delhi, Uttarakhand, Jharkhand, Telangana, and Karnataka, in taking the life skills curriculum. In Delhi, it's been happiness curriculum. In Uttarakhand, it's Ananda Patacharya. In Jharkhand, it's Project Sampurna. We've been working with the Telangana Tribal Welfare Department and in Karnataka. So yeah, right, jumping into the session, we thought we'll share a small story with all of you. I hope I do not put all of you to sleep with this story. So yeah, here goes the story. Once upon a time, a lady decided she wanted a puppy. She searched and searched until she found the perfect puppy. The puppy was soft, cuddly, and loved her new owner. Her coat was golden brown, silky and smooth. Her eyes were bright and twinkled with joy. The puppy was glad she found someone to love her and wanted nothing more than to please her new owner. She learned to sit and stay. At first, a new owner played with her every day, gave her the best puppy food, clean water, a warm and safe place to sleep. The puppy's owner was so happy that she found the puppy and given her a new home. She told all her friends about the puppy. But after a while, the puppy's owner spent less time and less time with her. One day, just a couple of months after bringing the puppy home, her owner picked her up, took her to the terrace. The puppy thought, we are going to play, but the puppy was chained up in the terrace. The owner closed the door behind her. The puppy was never taken back into the house. It was the beginning of the monsoon. Without a proper place to protect herself from the harsh rains, the puppy did not know how to run, and where to hide. Her wet fur made her shiver with cold. Her barks for help didn't seem to get her owner's attention. As days passed, she gave up barking and got used to the rings. She used to dream about past happy times with the owner. She dreamed about being warm inside the house, playing happily with the owner. Sometimes she whimpered at night in her sleep. Sometimes her owner would come out and feed her, but not every day. In fact, sometimes her owner would yell harshly at the puppy, calling her hurtful names and kicking at her. There were times the puppy wondered, what did I do wrong? Did I bark too loud? Did I eat too much? Or did I take too much love? She learned to run and hide under the water tank. She began to growl anytime anyone came near. Her once beautiful and shiny golden coat became matted and dirty. She was ashamed of her appearance. Her bones began to ache from the rain and cold. She thought, I'm just a bad dog. I don't deserve to be in the warm house anymore. Finally, the long monsoon session got over. One brilliant sunny morning, the puppy's owner decided she wanted to take her puppy for a walk. She wanted everyone in the neighborhood to see her puppy. She even bought a new collar and a leash for the puppy. However, when she went to the terrace to get her puppy, she found that the puppy hiding under the tank, showing her teeth and growling. The puppy wanted to come out and play, but she was unsure. She was so confused, she wondered, does my owner love me? She was afraid of her owner's hand that was reaching out to her. She was growling and snapping. As soon as the puppy saw the open terrace door, the puppy made a run for it. The surprised owner was shouting at the puppy as she ran down the stairs and into the streets as fast as her little paws could carry. Days passed. The puppy never returned and it became a stray. So, this is the time for reflection. Why do you think the puppy ran away? If you could share your answers on the chat, or if you could unmute yourself and maybe we could hear a couple of responses.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So maybe puppy did not get the proper care and attention and love with the owner.
Okay, thank you so much. That's true, that could be. Yeah, fear could be.
Fear also.
Yeah. Farhana has said maybe the puppy thought the owner doesn't love her. That's true. Lakshmi is saying it was not given the freedom it required, was treated badly. Very true. Nisha says fear and lack of trust. Oh yeah, Sangeeta says the door was open. Rajeshwari is telling lack of loyalty and attention. Could we think of some more responses other than this? If somebody wants to share, you can unmute yourself and share. He's telling it's lack of love and care. Punit is telling maybe the puppy is confused. True, Lakshmi is telling there's no respect for his feelings. Maybe the puppy owner had no time to spend with the puppy. Yeah, that's a different perspective from Farhana. Definitely lack of safety. Great. So if we have to give an alternate ending to this puppy, we'll actually close this story. Many months later, the lady saw her puppy in a park, being happy and cheerful and playing with a family who seemed to be her new owners. How do you think the puppy was treated in her new home? If we have to give a happy ending to this puppy, what do you think the new owner would have done to this puppy?
Excuse me, ma'am. The owner has to try to find the puppy, and after that she realizes what can be done to stay with the puppy with the owner.
Okay, thank you so
And
much.
she has to think and she has to follow for that to be with the dog.
Okay, thank you.
The new owner can give that puppy the freedom and the protection and love and care.
Okay. Thank you so much. I'm not able to see your names because I'm sharing the screen. Thank you for your responses. Yeah, Swati.
I'm Lakshmi. The puppy must have been treated like one of the family members.
Great. Thank you, Lakshmi. The puppy needs were met. Nisha, if you could elaborate on what do you mean by needs were met? What kind of needs?
Yeah, hi. So,
Hi.
like the physical needs, which is a shelter and food, and the emotional needs, which is attention, love, play. So, I believe that led to the puppy looking cheerful and happy.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. You can share it in chat if you feel like if you want to share it, please unmute. Feel free to unmute and share your responses. What was very different from the lady and the new owner that the puppy was feeling happy, comfortable, cheerful? What could have really happened to this puppy?
Hi, I'm Sunita here. I thought कि वो जो ओनर फर्स्ट ओनर जो थे उन्होंने मतलब
Hmm?
पहले उन्होंने प्यार दिखाया एंड केयर दिखाया पपी को, फिर उसके
Okay.
बाद वो जो सेकंड वो डर के मारे वो वहां पे से भाग गया, और फिर वो दूसरा ओनर जो है वो सेम प्यार और सेम केयर उन्होंने दिखाया बहुत अच्छी तरह से टिल एंड तक, और वो उसके मतलब उसको उसका ट्रस्ट को उन्होंने जीत लिया, तो इसलिए वो मतलब वहाँ पे चेयरफुल पपी है वहाँ पे उनके साथ, आई थिंक.
Yeah, definitely. There's been a lot of trust. The puppy is able to gain a lot of care and attention, and it's been consistent and persistent. Thank you so much. Glory is telling new owner might have shown love, care, and attention towards the dog. Definitely. Thank you, Glory. Okay, thank you so much for sharing your responses. Yeah, definitely. How do you think the puppy was treated in a new home? She got the attention, she got the freedom, there was trust, there was security, safe space, care, family, and the puppy has been treated equally. Thank you for your great responses. So yeah, now coming back to, we started the session with what exactly is called the trauma-informed mindset. Whatever the responses you've been giving so far, definitely somebody needs a safe environment. It could be physical, it could be psychological, it could be emotional. We need to build in a trustable relationship to be having a trauma-informed mindset. Someone who can act as an empathetic witness. The puppy has definitely gone through so much, and if it has established the trust with the new owner, it is definitely the owner has been being an empathetic witness to the puppy, and definitely build meaningful connections, create a sense of belonging, and empower through collaborations. So this is what we call as trauma-informed mindset. Like somebody is being able to be aware of what could have happened so that the puppy has been behaving in such a way. And having said this, now the schools have been reopening. The children are coming back to school. Specifically, children from adverse backgrounds might have gone through certain experiences like threat to life, abuse. The abuse can be in the form of physical, sexual, psychological, or it could have been a witness to abuse, maybe domestic violence at home, could have been neglect, a discrimination, or it could be antipathy, or even a death of a caregiver. With regards to COVID, there has been lots that has been happening, and definitely children from adverse backgrounds could have been gone through any sort of experiences like this. So when they come back to school, there could be different behaviors that children would be exhibiting. Couple of you are here, teachers and educators. If you could just let us know what are the different behaviors that you're seeing in school right now. You can also share your responses in chat. How do you think children are coming back to school? Are they happy, excited, or is there some form of, sadness associated with, or there is some grief, some loss? Yeah, definitely they are fugitive, they are restless, they're withdrawn. Thank you, Mary. What other behaviors are we seeing in children right now? It's been in India, at least 400 plus days, the schools have been closed. Children did not really have access to peers, friends, teachers, or even a safe environment. So they are coming back to school after 400 plus days. How has their behaviors been so far? Difficult to control, more prone to mobile. Swati is telling they have been stressed. Lakshmi is telling they have been lost in deep thoughts. Yeah, Punit is telling not ready to learn. Many sad stories. So Lakshmi, you've been mentioning they've been lost in deep thoughts. Could you elaborate a bit more? difficulty in
Yeah,
yeah, please.
they must be not paying attention when the teacher is teaching,
Okay.
and their thoughts are somewhere else. Like then we have to call them like to pay attention to what we are teaching.
Okay.
And, sometimes we can say like they are daydreaming also. Maybe what they want, they are dreaming about it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Lakshmi. Mary is telling difficulty in concentration. Disciplining is also difficult.
Yes.
How are they feeling like? What's their feeling been right now when they come back?
One side they are excited, seeing their peers, talking to them. So that safety measure and all we have to insist upon, and that is something.
Okay.
Another thing is like at the same time, they have lost their dear ones and all, no? So that
Yeah.
also affects them. Then, so far no school, only online. So for them, no understanding the subject or the knowledge of the thing is not like, it's a difficult. And even in online, sometimes they have just read and copied and sent through WhatsApp and to thing like,
That
uh,
was more of a rote learning they had.
so now, like, to understand, to even some of them know the alphabets or the learning thing, that also is like difficult for them. So it's really, difficult to bring them to one side, kind of. We need a lot of patience. That's what, because we are having school here,
Okay.
two kinds of school here. So I'm daily witnessing how difficult it is. That's a reality.
Yeah, that's true. That must be hard for the teachers as well, right?
Very true, very true. We need to give a lot of boost to the teachers, because encourage them, tell them, because they also have their own family problems, issues. With that, only they too are coming. And
Definitely.
added to that, the children are also inside, and they also have to teach them. It is, yeah, true.
That's true. I mean, pandemic has created a lot of chaos with everybody, specifically for the education system and moreover for the teachers, because suddenly everybody was being thrown into online and everybody was going through their own personal loss. So it has been definitely difficult for teachers as well. Rajeshwari is telling maybe excited, but at the same time stressful. Farhana is telling frequent domestic violence, lack of proper gadgets to join classes regularly, as well as all the students can't get chance in one period. Every child can't speak up. That's true. There's been a lot of digital divide as well. So yeah, thank you for the responses. If you, I don't know if some of you would have attended the last session, we asked this question. We normally look at a behavior and generally ask what's wrong with you. What do you think should be the right question when children are coming back to school? Everybody are validating that, there have been a lot of issues with the children. They've been stressful. They've been lack of empathy at home, lack of love and care. They lost their loved ones. When you know their behavior is popping up, what do you think would be the right thing to ask a child? Should we continue to ask what's wrong with you, or what should be the question like?
Hi, I'm Sunita here again.
Sunita.
We can ask child ki, can you share about something about you, or like we
Definitely.
can ask. Then
According to me, maybe we can, this is what I have asked them. Like,
Okay.
how do you feel now? How are you? Like, what bothers you? Anything that bothers you?
Okay.
You can, how, how, what is your feeling right now because you are with your friends? Like that, generally, we are asking some questions to them.
That's nice.
And then suppose after talking them, but immediately we are not giving them take this lesson to study and all. Probably we give them some some games, like word games, just to see to their vocabulary, to talk to them. So like in the first, I think we started in September 1st onwards, the physical, the students are coming.
Okay.
But after that, we have not started like fully. Slowly only we are introducing to the syllabus and things, right? But most of the time, if they are not feeling comfortable, we stop it and we are asking some questions, or relaxation time is little more like
That's so
more of
nice.
like an accompaniment, because we can understand that they are, because after when we talk to them, how do you feel, are you all right, or how your people are at home, like that. Now when we start, only some of them they are broken and they start to cry, I lost this, and like that and all, no? So we are able to, then we bring them and we console them, and whatever we could also. But during this pandemic also, we were able to, we were generating some money and some food and all we were giving. So when they come back to us, we understand their situation.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. That was really valuable in terms of how do you really reintegrate children back to school. It's not about, starting about with your portions or syllabus to complete, but, giving that space for them to express their sadness, also sharing with them, asking them how they've been feeling. That's very powerful. Thank you so much. Rajeshwari is being, she's telling we can ask child to share their experiences. Lakshmi is telling I can share my experiences and then give chance to students to speak up. Definitely, that really helps to build that trust and connection. So they don't really feel unsafe when you start sharing your own experiences. Farhana is telling the peak of iceberg where some part is visible and underwater can't be visible. Very true. What we see is just tip of the iceberg. There could be so many things that are underlying, but the child is not able to express or not feeling comfortable to express. And that's what we need to understand as teachers. So yeah, that comes to the question like, what's wrong with you is what we normally ask someone, even when you see a certain behavior. But if we have to ask this question, what happened to you, so that they feel more comfortable, they feel safe, and there are chances that child may open up, make meaningful connections, and that will help the child to thrive much more better. I'm so sorry, my computer is acting up. Yeah. This is what we call a trauma-informed mindset. Whatever the responses you guys have been sharing, whatever so many teachers shared that no, they have already been doing this. They've been making meaningful connections. Someone shared that they share their own personal experiences, so the child is able to trust them and have a trustable relationship. How can we make it a safe environment? If somebody is sharing something, can we have that patience, listening, and be an empathetic witness? Also create a sense of belonging to the child. That's more important because they have not been in the school space for more than 1.5 years. Coming back to this space might be a little scary. They might not trust very soon. They've been going through a lot of things like all of us, and children do not have a way to express like how adults do. So definitely having a trauma-informed mindset will help our children to thrive much better given the pandemic. So yeah, thank you so much. If you have any queries, if you have any questions, you can call us or write to us at design@dreamerdream.org. I will stop sharing now. If we have any questions, then happy to answer. Kavita, in case you are speaking, it's not audible. If anyone wants to share anything or ask anything, please feel free.
So Bhavani, one question that I had was now that you have given us a brief outline of what a trauma-informed mindset is, and the importance of having a trauma-informed mindset and how we actually, in a way, alter your mindset, the existing mindset that we have. As an educator, as somebody who's working with educators, what would be like some of the initial steps that I can take to actually practice this or put this into practice in my learning spaces?
Yeah, I mean, Lenin, I would be happy to answer, but the next session is all about trauma response. How would teachers can really practice this in classrooms? What exactly is trauma responsive?
Got it. Any more questions, comments? Please unmute yourself and
maybe as a teaser to the next session, I have one question. Are there any self-care practices that our teachers, educators are following now? Please, if some of you can unmute and share or put in the chat. Do any of you have any self-care practices? How do you really take care of yourself with so many things happening, somebody rightly said, the teachers are also going through so many things. How are you as teachers, educators are taking care of yourself? Or even are we taking care of ourselves? Since there is a lot of silence, should we assume that there is no self-care practice? Punit is telling that he's been doing meditation. Thank you.
Good evening, ma'am. It's Kavita from Asharaya.
Hi,
So
Kavita.
self-care means so when we are very depressed, something like that means I'm the classical dancer, so I'll put myself in that. So to release my stress.
Wow.
So and one more so music. So very
nice.
so devotional music when I listen. So I will clear by myself. Otherwise, I will go by my saloon and then I'm happy with my doing my work. So again, revolving that. So I'll come the situations like when I am not handling the situations, I will be keep on like in this matters.
Thank you.
This I will do. Thank you.
I do a lot of journaling. Whenever I get stressed, I start writing a lot, and that has been helping me. Lalita is my team member and she uses a lot of arts. If Lalita, you can share your experience.
And one more, I'm the artist also, so I'll do my paintings. So that is the best
nice.
way of relaxing.
Very true.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kavita, for sharing.
Yeah, thank you.
You're definitely waiting for more responses.
Yeah.
Assuming that, yeah, we have somebody. Rajeshwari.
Rajeshwari had shared that I spend my time with orphan kids and play with them. It gives me strength to deal with all the worst situations in life. Thank you, Rajeshwari. That's so deep. Thank you so much. Lalita is telling I keep a box of sketch pens at my work desk and make a few spontaneous sketches when I take breaks. Thank you, Lalita, for sharing. If anybody wants to unmute, share their experiences, or if you feel comfortable sharing in the chat.
So I'm assuming that the self-care practices are quite less, or we have something like that.
Yes, that's how it looks like. Samyukta is telling I go on walks, watch the trees and play with doggos in the area. Always come back feeling good. That's nice. Thank you, Samyukta. So it looks like not many of us are, taking care of ourselves, which is very important right now, even otherwise. So our next session is going to be more on trauma responsive education, which actually starts with self-care. There's a saying, right? You can't give an empty cup cannot actually overflow. Lakshmi is telling, hoping that the future will be taken care, meeting friends. Yeah, definitely fingers crossed. The numbers are definitely less right now. We don't know whether we are coming to a closure of Corona or it's just silent like as usual and again going to peak. Definitely fingers crossed, but we hope for the best.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Bhavani. I think that was a very crisp and concise topic, but I think it was quite hard-hitting and something that we can definitely think over the weekend and also get ourselves a little geared up for the next session. So like I was saying, this is the second masterclass of the series of 4, wherein we are talking about trauma responsive mindsets. We're talking about trauma responsive education system. So we'll be having another 2 more to bring this to a full closure. So do join us for the next masterclass on Friday. But before you go, please take the poll, which is launched right now. You can see it on your screen. So there are 5 questions. So feel free to just take about 2-3 seconds and you can just complete that. So in the meantime, if you have any questions, any comments, anything that you have any thoughts of today's session, anything that comes to your mind, please feel free to share it in the chat, or you can just unmute yourself and share it. Great. We have about 17% people who have actually taken the poll, requesting the others to also take the poll. It'll be open for another 2 minutes before we actually end the meeting. Once again, thank you. Thanks a lot, Bhavani, for engaging this masterclass. And as mentioned, this is the 50th masterclass. And thank you for each and every one of you for joining us very diligently on a Friday evening and keeping up your learning going in spite of all the anxiety and uncertainty and all the crazy things that's happening around us. Thank you for being part of this learning capsule. I think we have reached 50 because of each one of you. So please continue to support us and
Yeah,
It's
thank you
50th,
for your time.
50th session means it's a jubilee session, right?
yes. I was actually looking for that word. I forgot what
We
that
have
word
to
was.
celebrate.
Yeah, thank you.
Jubilee, we say 50th is like golden jubilee. So
Yes.
it's a golden session probably, which is very relevant. Actually, we need to many, not only the children, even the adults and every walk of life, many of them are struggling and suffering psychologically and because of this pandemic. Not only pandemic, also the world itself is one in turmoil. So like that, I think likewise sessions need to be also some with exercises or some therapy or something also can be arranged. My suggestion.
Sure, sister.
Give us
Definitely.
certificate, jubilee certificate.
Okay. Definitely, I would have definitely loved to have a cake and
Simply tell.
stuff. Yeah, but unfortunately, we're stuck in a virtual world. So yeah, we have a lot of limitations. But definitely, when we are back And if seen face to face, we'll definitely celebrate this. And probably that will be the time when we maybe hit a 60 or a 75 masterclass. It will be a greater celebration then. But thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
each one
thank
of
you everyone for taking your time, making your time, being part of this. And thank you, Len,